Steve at Driving School WA. Thanks for stopping by. In this short video, we're going to make you familiar with some of the things that you may need to know before you take your driving assessment. One of the commonly asked questions is, how many lessons do I need? So that's extremely difficult to answer over the phone because we haven't seen you drive. Okay, so despite your experience and the level of skill that you believe you have, we would still need to assess your skills on your first lesson. So we encourage people to book a driving lesson with us so we can accurately judge what you need to do, and we can basically give you a right idea how many lessons you should need. If anyone tells you the amount of lessons that you need to do over the phone, they are not telling the truth. It's a very difficult question to answer because we need to see how a person drives, what their coordinative ability is. Based on our experience, we can accurately tell you what you may expect. We can't pinpoint that you need 5 or 6 or 10. If you ask us how many on average, how many does a person need on average? Look, it's hard to average out again something that we don't know. We had people who passed the driving assessment within 3 hours worth of practice, but some others who claimed that they had a previous experience needed 15 or 20 lessons. So we will surely on the first lesson be able to establish whether you need 3 or 10 or 15. And we are very accurate in assessing, what anyone would need. We also get questions from people who hold an automatic Western Australian driver's licence, who need to upgrade their licence to a C class, which is a manual transmission. They would ask us, look, I've been driving, for 10 years, for 2 years, for 5 years, whatever the case might be. And they would basically say, look, I've got it all, I've been driving, I've got my license, I just need to upgrade it. It's a very similar scenario. Over the time, people can gain a lot of bad habits. If someone's completed their driving test successfully 10 years ago, it doesn't mean that they've kept all the habits that they acquired prior to doing their driving assessment the first time. Again, without being in the car with you, we can't just tell you how many lessons you may need. Regardless of what your situation is, we will not be able to tell you over the phone how many lessons you need. However, we will accurately advise you of approximate number of the lessons that you may require. Also, we get calls from people asking, do I need a learner's permit for a C-class upgrade? You do need to obtain a learner's permit for C-class before you take your driving assessment. But to learn how to drive a manual, you can legitimately do that with the automatic license. There's no options to obtain a learner's permit online or over the phone. Is it easier to pass a driving assessment in Kelmscott and Kennington than Mirrabooka and West Perth? No, it's not easier. There are different aspects to the areas, where you're going to be driving, but it's not easier or harder. It'll depend on how familiar with the procedures you are. It'll depend on how well prepared you are, and also how you execute all the tasks on the day of a driving assessment. All the aspects of driving assessment will be taken into consideration: how well you do your vehicle management and your flow and path and your movement, signalling and observing and all of that. So ultimately it's going to come down to how well you execute all the tasks on the day of a driving assessment. The location where you do a driving assessment will not be a factor whether you pass or not. Do they have cars at the Department of Transport that I'm going to use for my test? No, they don't have cars. You will either use a driving school's vehicle, which is recommended, or you can use your private vehicle. So if you use your private vehicle, you will have to make sure that everything's roadworthy. It's got a centrally mounted handbrake. that the assessor can use in an event of emergency. They will thoroughly check your vehicle upon commencing your driving assessment, so make sure that your tyres are roadworthy, that your indicators work and your stop lights work. Are they going to take me on a freeway during my driving test? Sadly no, we'd like to see that happen, but sadly they've never ever taken anyone on a freeway or a highway, so the speed limit that you can expect would be maximum 70, possibly 80 in some centres, but mostly it's 50, 60 or 70. So we encourage all of the assessors to take all of our students on the freeway, because we can ensure that everyone that's gone through the training with us will be capable of driving safely at high speeds. Should we do the mock test with our parents? You can, but it may be counter-effective, because if they don't know exactly what you're expected to do in a driving assessment, it may be counter-effective. So you may learn from an instructor what to do, but if they tell you otherwise, you will not know what's right and what's wrong. So we do encourage you to do a lot of general driving with your parents. There is certainly no substitute for a driving lesson with a professional instructor. So where should I start my driving lesson? Should I come to your office? We come to your place and we finish your lesson at your place, unless we're picking you up from school or finishing at school or work. So we can start and finish driving lessons at different points at the address that you nominate. Is my first driving test free? It's not free. So if you're using our services, you will have to pay for a time and the instructor who's going to take you for a driving assessment. Now, if you've been told that your first driving test is free, what they meant when you got your learner's permit is that your first driving test entitlement. So what it means is to sit your driving test with the assessor is paid with your learner's permit. However, if you fail, you will have to pay the driving assessment entitlement, which is around $87 in 2019. Just check the prices, depending on when you watch this video, check the prices if they change, and they usually change on the 1st of July every year. Another question that we get frequently asked is, should I ask the assessor, if I'm unsure of the speed limit, what the speed limit in the area is? Well, the answer to that is no, because they will not actually say, well, you can ask them, but they're not allowed to say what the speed limit in the area it is. So what we recommend is that you have a lot of driving in the area of a driving assessment, days leading to the driving assessment, so you are familiar with the areas. And we've also got some very useful YouTube videos on this channel, so subscribe and share these videos. If you don't know what the speed limit is in the area, if you happen to be in the residential street, always go to the default speed, which is 50. So unless you see a sign that states otherwise, if you see 60, obviously it's going to be 60. So just be aware that, you may ask them, but you're not going to get an answer, because you should know. And, obviously, because you're getting, tested for your driver's license. If you ask them any other questions, should I park here? Can I park in that spot? What they do is they tell you what to do, but they don't tell you how. So basically you're going to get all the direction and instructions, where you turn and what you do, but not how you do it. And they won't give you any tips. So be aware that the important thing is that you have enough practice with a professional instructor who knows the area, and that you have a certain amount of preparation prior to the driving assessment. Am I going to do a reverse parallel parking? Well, that depends on the assessor. They can do it anywhere. Some centres are sort of more likely to conduct a reverse parallel park. In some centres, you will 99% of times be asked to do the reverse parallel park. In some others, you may not, be required to do it. So usually they ask you to do the normal reverse park. It could be the scenario where the assessor says reverse park next to any car, reverse park anywhere, reverse park on the left hand side, reverse park on the right hand side, or they can even they can select the bay where they want you to reverse park. In my opinion, it's not more difficult to execute reverse parallel park over the normal bay parking. But the only thing is the traffic that's constantly coming from behind is what scares people. If you line up your vehicle with minimum delay and if you start your manoeuvre as soon as possible, it is going to be less likely that you hold up any traffic. So line up quickly, make sure that there's no cars coming towards you. Once you select reverse gear, your reverse lights will come on, and obviously the driver from behind will see it. Now, you do need to observe the rear window. If a driver slows down, obviously you can even communicate with the assessor, or you can partially slow down and stop to say, oh, I'm not sure if they're passing me. So that's the aspect that people get unsure about, and not so much the technicality how to perform a reverse parallel park. So regardless of whether you get asked to do a reverse parallel park or normal bay parking, just make sure that you do both well, and just keep your composure and try and do it to the best of your ability. And obviously observing is number one. If there's any vehicle that comes from behind, you would have to stop. Remember, when you reverse, you always give way, okay? Because there's no situation where a reversing traffic gets priority over the forward moving traffic. So forward moving traffic always has priority. We've covered most of the commonly asked questions by public, what to do and what to expect in a driving assessment. But if there's anything that we haven't covered, you can give us a call, during our business hours. You can ask us down below in the comments, if there's anything you're unsure about, and we'd be more than happy to answer as soon as we get opportunity to. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next video.